Hello everybody, welcome to another screen recording slash YouTube video. In this video, we'll be looking at Porcupine 7 in 22 Edo. As you can see, I already have the scale degrees of mode 6 up, 0 down written out because, somebody literally interrupted me when I was in the middle of talking about these modes. So I already have the scale degrees for the first mode written down. Here are the chords. So now, as you can hear, there are actually more diminished chords than you might be used to. So let's look at the chords here. So for the purposes of this Porcupine 7 video, I will be referring to this up flat 3 scale degree as the minor third, and the down 5th scale degree as the diminished 5th. Because, and then I'm going to refer to the unison and octave as just that, perfect unison. Then the down second will be I guess I'm going to call it the perfect second, because in Porcupine the generator is the down second, so it's a perfect second. Then the fourth I'll consider to be perfect. The up flat 6th, I will call that a minor 6th. And flat 7 I will call a minor 7th. Just like in normal diatonic notation. So based off of this, we can see that our tonic chord is actually diminished. If we look at the tonic 1, up flat 3, down 5, perfect unison, minor 3rd, diminished 5th. The 2 chord, built on the down 2 scale degree, is actually going to be diminished as well. So we get a 2 diminished. Then you have the up flat 3. Hold on, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, perfect 5th, perfect 5th, perfect 5th. And perfect 5th. Yeah, so the first 3 chords in mode 6-0, I'll just write that up here as 6 up, 0 down. That is UDP notation, if you're wondering. Up, down, period, but because the period is a whole octave, we can leave that blank. So the third chord is diminished. So you can see we've already got 3 diminished chords. You might be wondering, how many more of these do we have already, for goodness sake? Well, this is it. We only have 3 diminished chords in Porcupine 7. Although I'm sure you're only used to 1 diminished chord in the major scale and its modes. Porcupine 7, in this mode and all its modes, has 3 diminished chords. But now moving on to the 4 chord. The 4 chord I will consider to be minor. As you can see, I have 4 up flat 6 and 1. Then you have the 5 chord. I will consider that the down 5, which is going to be our 5 chord. I will consider that to be minor as well. Then you have the up flat 6 chord. You have up flat 6 down to 4. Actually, no, up flat 6, 1 up flat 3. That's a major chord. So the 6th chord here is major. And then you are going to get the 7 chord is also major, as you have flat 7, down 2, 4 in diatonic notation. But as for Porcupine notation, the way I'm going to be using Porcupine notation, I'm using Porcupine notation for the Roman numerals. I know it's confusing. Diatonic notation in the scale degrees, Porcupine notation for the chords. As in, this scale is spelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the chords, but 1 down 2, up flat 3, 4 down 5, up flat 6, flat 7 for the note names. I know, it's weird. But this is a system I feel is best. So now, let's see. For this one, we will not consider there to be any characteristic notes. Now for the next mode, 5 up, 1 down. I'm just going to have to quickly regenerate here. 5 up, 1 down. And apply. So here is how the scale sounds. So with this scale, here, that's the scale, here are the chords. Let me just double check what this chord is. That's diminished, yeah, that's what I figured, but there's a scale and its chords. Now here is the formula for this scale is 1, down 2, up flat 3, 4, down 5, but then But then wait, did we? Yeah, we did have the up flat 6, but then instead of the flat 7, we have a down 7. So basically, that is effectively 2 Edo steps higher. I believe that is. Yeah, the down 7 would be. Actually, no, that's 1. Oh wait, never mind. It's the up flat 7. What am I saying? It's obviously 1 Edo step higher than the flat 7. Because an up or down equals 1 Edo step, right? Yeah, I know. Lots of confusing terminology here, but I am an art microtonalist, and I have known about this stuff for a few years now, so I feel fairly comfortable with it. But now as for the chords, this time I'm not going to go ahead and label all the intervals. But first of all, characteristic interval, that will which interval sets this 5-1 mode apart from the 6-0 mode, of course, is going to be the up flat 7. So let's highlight that in green if it will let me switch. So the up flat 7 is our characteristic note. Here are our chords. You get a 1 diminished as usual. Then we are going to get the next one is going to be our 2 chord is also going to be diminished. Only chords involving the 7th degree are going to be different. Bear that in mind. So now because we have the so-called major 7ths as opposed to the minor 7ths we had earlier. The reason I'm calling it so-called major 7ths is because it's still 2 Edo steps below the diatonic major 7th, whereas the minor 7th, the diatonic minor 7th, is 3 Edo steps below the diatonic major 7th. We are going to have the 3 minor this time. Then you're going to have 4 minor. So that is the same. Then you're going to have the down 5, which becomes 5 in porcupine notation. That one. Hold on. Yeah, that one. The down 5, the chord built on down 5, which is 5 in porcupine, is major. Interesting, I know. Yes. Hold on. I'm struggling a little to keep my composure right now. I've got a lot going on. Yeah, sorry. I have to keep apologizing that I keep walking back and forth. I just have a lot going on today. But I figured I'd try to make a video. Okay, so that up flat 6 chord, or 6 chord, is major. And then you have the up flat 7, which I'm going to refer to as the sharp 7th degree. That one is diminished. So now I'm going to highlight in green all the chords that are different from mode 6-0. That'll be the 3 chord, which is minor as opposed to diminished. That would be the 5 chord, which is major as opposed to minor, and the 7 chord, which is actually sharp 7 diminished as opposed to 7 major. Okay. Now for mode 4-2. Now for mode 4-2. Let's go ahead and quickly pull up that mode here. I can play it for you. And also check what the notes are exactly. So here's mode 4-2. And here are the chords. Okay, so those are the chords, and so that was mode 4-2. Sorry, I keep having to get up and walk. Just got too much going on today. Too much going on. But as I said earlier, I'm just sitting here trying to make this video, you know. I got a lot going on today. And I was hoping trying to make this video would help, but these thoughts keep bothering me. But here's the scale degrees of mode 4-2. 1, down 2, up flat 3, 4, down 5. Instead of an up flat 6 here, we have the down 6. And then you have the up flat 7. So what's the characteristic note here, you might ask? Well, it's the down 6. That's the only thing that's the only note that distinguishes mode 4-2 from mode 5-1. Now for the chords. One diminished, of course, because that chord is of course, going to be not involving that down 6, so it's not going to be changed at all from. However, the 2 chord does involve the down 6, so it is going to become minor. The up flat 3 remains minor. The 4 actually becomes a major here. The 5 chord, the down 5, or the 5 that becomes major. The down 6 becomes a sharp 6 diminished. And the chord built on up flat 7 is sharp 7 minor. Actually, no, sharp 7 diminished. What am I saying? That doesn't, because the sharp 7 chord does not include any of the notes that are different here. So now let's highlight all the chords that are different from the previous mode. 2 diminished became 2 minor, 4 minor became 4 major, and 6 major became sharp 6 diminished. Now let's go for the next mode. Mode 3-3, the symmetrical mode. Everybody's favorite because, it's perfectly symmetrical. Let's pull it up here. This is analogous to the Dorian mode in regular old major in the diatonic scales. And this time, we finally get a perfect 5th. Above it. So basically, here are the scale degrees in just a moment. Because my mind is kind of racing right now. I've got so much going on today. Like, not today really, but it's like what's going on soon. I've actually got an oral surgery coming up on hopefully Yod Gimel Menachem Av this year, July 27th. And that's been on my mind, and it's making it hard for me to concentrate, but let's try this. But let's try to continue with this. So the scale degrees here for mode 3-3 is symmetrical mode. 1, down 2, up flat 3, should be familiar right now, 4. But then the big change is now the down 5, which was making our tonic chords diminished up till this point, becomes a regular 5. Then you get the down 6 and the up flat 7. So the characteristic note, as I'm sure you could guess by now, is the 5. So in Porcupine notation, we have the 1 chord becomes minor. Let's go. We no longer have to deal with the 1 diminished. Let's go. Then you have the down 2 remains minor. The up flat 3 actually becomes major. Hold on, let's try that again. Let's try that up flat. Let's try that again. Let's try that 3 again. Then you have the 4 chord remains major, of course. But then now you have the 5 chord becomes the sharp 5 and it becomes diminished. The down 6 remains sharp 6 diminished. And the down 7 remains sharp 7 diminished. The up flat 7 I meant. So this time I will highlight the tonic chord in yellow because not only did it change, but it went from diminished, which is kind of not very stable, to minor, which is a lot more stable. And then the 3 chord also went from minor to major. The 5 chord went from 5 to sharp 5 diminished. Now let's move on to the next mode, shall we? We're getting close. We're getting close to finishing this. We just have 3 more modes. So now mode 2-4. 2 up, 4 down. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this up. Here's how it sounds. I know it kind of sounds like Lydian, right? There we go. That was a bit troublesome there, but yeah. So we have the 1. We have the down 2. All is good and fine. So we're up flat 3. But then we get something very interesting. Instead of the 4, this is why I said this sounds like Lydian, because instead of the 4, we actually have an up 4. One of the characteristics of Porcupine that I really should mention at the beginning is that it reaches a perfect 4th in 3 generators. In other words, a perfect 4th is split into 3. Can't do that in 12, can you? Because in 12, you know, the perfect 4th is 5 steps. So that's why I had to go to 22 to find Porcupine. And then you have 5, down 6, up, flat, 7. The characteristic note is obviously going to be the up 4. And let's go for the chords. Now you still have 1 minor, you have the 2 becomes major. The up flat 3 remains, the 3 chord remains major. The 4 chord actually goes from 4 major to sharp 4 diminished. The 5 chord remains diminished. The 6 chord remains sharp 6 diminished. But then you have the up flat 7 also changes, because now we have the sharp 7 minor. Let's go. We have another minor chord. Like I mean, we already had 2 minor chords in every single mode, but you know, we have another one of the sharp degrees becoming minor. We have our first sharp degree to become minor. Let's go. So now chords that have changed include the 2, which went from minor to major. The 4, which went from plain 4, natural 4, major to sharp 4 diminished. And and the sharp 7, which went from diminished to minor. How cool is that? I mean, like, it is literally cool in the room I'm sitting in right now, and that's making things difficult for me also. But yeah, let's continue. Next mode, 1 up, 5 down, or just 1 5. We're almost done. Let's go. Because the scale sounded like major, right? Well, we'll see in the scales construction, shall we? Well, hold on, actually. My mind is racing again. Let's give it a few moments. Settle down, you know. You can probably tell I'm having a hard time getting through this. But, you know, I figured, like, I was hoping that by doing this video, I'd be able to somewhat distract myself, but it's not really working. Let's look at scale degrees. 1, down 2. Now you have a down 3 as opposed to up flat 3. Then you have up 4, 5, down 6, and up flat 7. You can tell from my handwriting probably too how weird my brain is acting right now. And this is our characteristic notes. Here are our chords. 1 major, down 2 or 2 major. Then you have a sharp 3 diminished, which is not something you'll see in the major scale. Although that down 3 sounds like, or sharp 3 if you're using Porcupine notation, that sounds like a major 3rd. You have diminished chord built off of this in Porcupine 7. Then you have the sharp 4 diminished. Then you have the sharp 5 diminished. Then you're going to have the sharp 6 minor. And then you have the sharp 7 minor. And our characteristic, and our chords that have changed between the modes is our 1 chord has once again changed from minor to major. Our 3 chord has gone from 3 major to sharp 3 diminished. And our 6 chord has gone from sharp 6 diminished to sharp 6 minor. My thoughts are racing right now. Like, I'm having a really hard time just even sitting still right now. And not in a good way. So now we have 0, 6. Let's see if I can get through the rest of this video without having to stop. See if I can get through the rest of this video without having to take another break. Let us see. So 0, 6. Here is the scale. And here are the chords. So the chords. Let's go through the scale degrees. You have 1, 2, down 3, up 4, 5, down 6, up flat 7. This is closest to diatonic, if you ask me. This one is the closest scale to the major scale, if you ask me, because you have the root, 2nd, and 5th. It's also fairly close to, and you have the down 3rd, which in 22 is closer to 5/4 than the actual major 3rd. And then you have the down 6, which is closer to 5/3 than the actual major 6th. Let's go for the chords. Well, actually, before that, the characteristic note is 2. And then for our chords, you have 1 major, sharp 2 diminished. Then you have sharp 3 diminished. Then you have sharp 4 actually becomes minor. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's actually still diminished. I'm sorry. That's what happens when my mind starts racing like that. This is what happens when I try to make a video about Porcupine 7 when I have a very nerve-wracking appointment coming up in a little over a month. Then you have the Sharp 5 actually becomes minor. Then you have Sharp 6 is minor, and Sharp 7, actually, if I'm doing this correct, becomes major. That's great. That is just great. That's how I like the different chords. Sharp 2 diminished compared to 2 major. Then you have Sharp 5 becomes minor. Sharp 7 becomes major. That's it. I hope screen recording.